Phase six. Phase six. I'm so glad we've come this far. In the last phase, we talked about um, creating a fully functional app, classes, objects, codable, and JSON. Um, the last phase helped us have a really good understanding of how to create a fully functional app, and at the same time how to create the different capsules, aka objects, that would help us bring that app to life. For example, the food order app, we had created a food order class which we instantiated across the app as an object, and then turn that object into JSON in order to save it to the file system. I highly recommend you go over this app multiple times until you understand how we did everything we did there. It's really important because we're going to be using this concept going forward. For example, this phase six, we are going to be saving data to the internet, and we're going to be using the same concepts of classes, objects, JSON to save these data to the internet. But one thing you should really just know about this classes and objects again is that um, objects are really capsules that contain information. That's what they really are. And when you design these capsules, you design them as classes. When you use them as objects. It's really that simple. And then codable and JSON is just the raw kind of those capsules, the raw kind of these objects. You transmit them, or you behind the scenes they are transmitted by turning them into JSON objects. And JSON are string versions of these objects, aka text representation. So in this phase, we are going to be creating an app that stores and retrieves data from the internet. And the app we're going to be working on is this. So it's a regular app with a video player at the top, a button to play the video from the internet. Everything on this app is dealing with the internet. No TinyDB, no local storages. Everything is saved on the cloud. So we're going to be saving the video. We're going to be playing the video from the net. We're going to be saving a text to the cloud, saving a number to the cloud, saving an object to the cloud, and then saving a list of data, aka arrays, to the cloud as well. And then this is where we're going to be uploading an image to the cloud. And then after the upload is done, we click this button to download the image from the cloud. And this is just a switch that would, when it's on, we're uploading to the cloud. When it's off, we're downloading from the cloud for these buttons. So this looks exciting. And to do all these, we're going to be using Firebase. Firebase is a cloud solution by Google. Firebase is a cloud solution by Google that helps app developers create their apps fast by using these already working solutions like where is it? Hang on. By using these already working solutions like Cloud Store, real-time database, file storage, where is file storage? File storage, and all these cool stuff. For this app that I just showed you, we're going to be storing text, numbers, objects, and arrays to the cloud. And we're going to be storing images to the cloud. So that means we're going to be using this one, where is it? Cloud storage, which is one that stores files. And we're also going to be using the real-time database, which helps us store data to the cloud, data like JSON, strings, text. Quick note, real-time database is very similar to Cloud Firestore. The main difference is that this one is a It's a much more compartmentalized database. That means here we deal with files that have a rigid structure that you can't really change. In this case, documents and basically files that have a rigid infrastructure. But here on the real-time database, you control the data structure of your data, if that makes sense. So we're going to be using real-time database, and it's also live. That means the content here, you can listen to them live and listen to their changes live. But today we're going to be dealing with these database in a very simple way to give you a very easy introduction to these products. And yes, they are free. They only cost money when you exceed a certain limit, which is quite not something you should worry about now, but just know that they're free. So let's jump into setting up Firebase. So of course we have to install the pods for Firebase, and so click on this link to open up the little snippets. So these are the pods we are going to be installing today. And if you remember, to install a pod, you first of all open up the pod file. This is our seed project. And the pod file is under pods. Remember the hierarchy of our projects. So this is the seed project, the main project, and then this is the pod. Click on the pod, then you see a pod file. Click on that. And then the next thing you would do is the pods you copied from here, which are the Firebase pods. Today we are using the Firebase storage for file storage, and we're using the database storage, which is the real-time database I just showed you. This one, okay? So copy them, copy everything, and then come over here to your pod file in Xcode and paste it. All right, and then I think it saves automatically. Then open up your terminal. This is mine down here. If you can't find it here, just search terminal. Then it opens up. Let me make this bigger. Okay, so remember that my projects, or our projects in this case, seed, is saved under documents /ios /seed. So I'm basically going to cd into that directory right now. So I'm going to say cd documents, press tab, it completes, cd iOS, capital iOS, tab, cd seed. Enter. Then remember I already typed in my pods here, the new pods, Firebase Storage and Firebase Database. So the next thing I will do is where is my terminal? I'll say pod install, enter. It's processing. Good. Awesome. Pod installation completes. Great. Okay, then let's move forward. So the next thing we're going to do is to enable the real-time database and Firebase storage on the Firebase website. By now, I'm guessing you should have a Google account. If you don't, create one. So after you've created your Google account, go to firebase.google.com, firebase.google.com, press enter. and then click Get Started. So in this case, we are going to click Add a Project, and let's call the project Seed. Okay, click Continue. Say no, I don't want the analytics. Click Create Project. It's waiting. Let's wait. It's loading. It's creating a cloud in the cloud for us. All right. Continue. Great. So now that this is done, the next thing we'll do now is to enable Firebase real-time database. Okay. So click the real-time database first, and click Create Database. Okay. Create. All right. Leave this as it is. Click Next. Click Start in Test Mode. This makes your database to be so that you can write and read from your database without having to log in from the app, which is a whole other process that involves user authentication. We're not going to go through that. We're just going to read and write to the database without further stress. So click Enable. Okay, now this is our real-time database, but before we proceed further, we're going to make some more changes to the rules. The rules determine which user of your app can read and write to the cloud, to your database. So we're going to make this like really just open, so that we don't have to go through the stress of using login for now. So go back to the document. Click on the link for rules for real-time database. On the real-time database, click on rules, okay, this one. And then copy everything here. Copy. And then go back to Firebase. Okay, now paste everything here. So this rules basically gives anyone with the app access. This is not something you would use when you are publishing your app on the App Store. This is something that is just for testing. Okay, it's not something you should put. It shouldn't be like this when you launch. When you're ready to launch, you should go to the Google Firebase documents and use the rules that are necessary for that kind of launch. And of course, you need to implement user authentication, which would require users to log in before they have access to your database. All right. So once you've pasted the code we just copied from here, you click publish. Okay. You must click publish. All right. So now this is done. The next thing we'll do is click on storage. This is for file storage. We're going to be storing files to our database today. So click on storage, and then click Get Started. Okay. Click Next. Leave this as it is. Click Next. In this case, done. Again, we're under file storage, which is this one. Okay, so this is our file storage in the cloud. It's currently blank. No files has been uploaded yet. So everything looks good, but first we need to make changes to the roles. We need to make the roles open so that we won't require authentication as we are testing this app today. So go to the Google Docs, under the Firebase Storage, click the link for set rules to public. Click the link. It should bring you to a set of rules. Copy this rule, copy it, every code in there, copy, and then go back to Firebase and paste it in there. Override the one that is currently there, paste it there, and then click publish. Again, this rules gives us access to this database without the need for going through authentication, that is user signups. So click publish. That is published. All good. All right, so now we've set up our real-time database and our cloud storage. Okay, the next thing we're going to do now is connect this project to our local seed app, which is this app we have here. We're going to connect this app we have here. We're going to connect it to the seed project we just created on Firebase. So click on project overview and then click on iOS. We're on iOS. Click that, and then it asks for iOS bundle ID. iOS bundle ID is the ID you find when you click on your project root folder, which is seed. The root folder, which is seed, click on that, and then you're going to find all these details about your project. The bundle ID is this one, called bundle identifier over here. So just copy that, copy, and then paste it in here. Then leave every other space blank because they're optional. Click register app, click that. Okay, now the next step is to download a configuration file. Now this configuration file is going to be, once it's downloaded, we're going to put it into our project. This is where when the app is running, it's going to read information from this file so it will know which cloud to connect to. This basically saves us from writing down keys and API keys and all this stuff, because the app can read it from a file that is unchanged. Okay, so so let's click download. Now it's a plist file. Make sure you click this once, and once you've clicked that, I want you to minimize Google Chrome. I'm using Google Chrome. Minimize it, because we're going to drag this into Xcode. Minimize Xcode as well. Come on, what's going on? Okay. All right, so I have minimized Xcode and I have minimized Google Chrome. The reason I did this is because I want to drag this into here. Now, this file we just downloaded, according to the instructions here, is going to go under the info.plist. Let me minimize this to make them look simpler. So in the file hierarchy in our seed project, there is this file called info.plist. The Google services.plist we just downloaded is going to go under there. So I'm dragging it into there. I'll click yes, finish. So now it's there. Now, if you have a parenthesis after the Google service info parenthesis 1 parenthesis close.plist, that means you had downloaded this twice. I recommend you go to your file system, delete the copies you have under your downloads, and click download again. This is because this name has to be exactly as it is, so that Firebase can find this file and read from it. If you have a different name there because of double downloads, it could cause errors. So just make sure the name is like this, and then this part is done. You can now expand Xcode back and then go back to Google Chrome and expand it back. Okay, so now the config file is downloaded. Yeah, click config file because I think after minimizing this thing kind of like gets finicky. All right, then click next. All right, now the next step instructs you on how to download the Firebase pod we just already successfully downloaded here. So that means we don't need to go through this step, just ignore this. Then click next because we've already installed the pod. Click next. And then the next step is telling us how to initialize Firebase the moment the project the moment the app should I say comes alive. The moment there is an instance of the app. So we're going to do this inside the app delegate file. Before we go there, let me show you what the app delegate file is. So under our C project, there is all these files. There is the one called appdelegate.swift. That is that's like our root instance of the app. So in this file, there is this first function identified by did finish launching with options. So inside it, press enter to make room. Then go to the website and copy this code here. The imports, Firebase, import Firebase. This is necessary. Copy it, then put it under here. Import. Go back and copy the firebase.configure. Then paste it in here in the first function, right before the return call. All right, so this is done. Then let's go back to Google Chrome. Next, it says you're all set. Okay, cool. So we are all set with setting up Firebase and installing it into our seed project. So far no errors, so that's good. This has no errors, so that means it's imported correctly. Going back to our project structure, so we've enabled Firebase, we've enabled the storage, the real-time Firebase, we've configured the app. So the next is working with Firebase. All right, so let's go ahead and design this app we have. Let me close this down. Oops, click the wrong button. Okay, so let's go ahead and design this app that we have here. Again, this is a video. This is going to be a video player. I'll show you how. A button, a switch, an image view, button. All right. So designing this, let's jump in. So in our Xcode, we're going to go to our main.storyboard, which is where we had all the buttons. And then we're going to create another button. Remember, we're going to call this one screen 5. I'm going to expand this to adjust the font size. First, I'm going to make it bold, and then increase the font size. Oops, wrong one. Wait, what's going on? Oh, okay. Then I want this to be black. Okay. Thanks. All right, so we're gonna call this screen 5 cloud storage. Okay, yeah, I think that sounds good. Cloud storage. All right, then if you remember, next we're going to connect this button to the screen so that when we click it, it launches a new screen. So to do that, we are going to open up our first view controller, and then make room for connecting our button. Go back here, assistant. Okay, now we have it side by side. So we're going to hold on the control key, drag this button in, and then call it screen 5 button, screen 5 button clicked. Enter. Okay, connection successful. So now we're going to create the files, the view controller and the storyboard for this screen 5. Then we'll come back here and write the code for launching them. So to do that, we are going to right click on our view controller, right click, new file, Cocoa Touch, view controller 5, connect, yes, create. And then we're gonna do the same for storyboards. Right click on the storyboards folder, new file, storyboard, next. I'm gonna call this storyboard 5, and then connect. Okay. So remember, once we've created our storyboard, the next thing we'll do is to add a view controller object into it. So to do that, you click the plus button and then search UI view controller, comes up, you drag it into the storyboard, and now it's in. To find it, you click on this stop pane here, you see the view controller, click it. Good. So now we are on the instance of the view controller object here in our storyboard. Expand this right menu and click on the identity inspector, and then for class we're going to connect it to the view controller 5 we created. So in the class, search UI view. You know what? Click on the drop down, click on view controller 5, and then copy that same name, copy, and then paste it inside the storyboard ID, and then press enter, and then check this box that says use storyboard ID. Good. All right, so now that's done. We have now successfully connected view controller 5 to storyboard 5. Okay, so now when we go to main.storyboard and the view controller 5, sorry, the first view controller, and then we copy this code we have here for launching a new screen, copy it, paste it inside view controller 5, and then just change this text to 5 and this one 5. All right, and then with this done, I think we should now yeah, I just removed that because I don't think we need it anymore. So with this done, let's test the app and make sure the new screen launches. So I'm going to run the app on iPhone 11. If you want to change the simulator, press the current one that is displayed and change it. I always recommend one that won't blow up your computer, you know. For example, for this recording, I iPhone 11 because I know if I use iPhone 12, it could make the fans on my computer to go off. So I'm using iPhone 11. Okay, so I would run. It's loading. Okay, we have one error somewhere. I think we're missing an extension. Let's see. I don't think this error would be on your side. I think it's something specific to my side. Let's see. Gets random. Yeah, I'm missing an extension that should have been here. Okay, just give me 1 second. Let me fix my own error. That should have been there for the food app. I think it's this one. Yeah, this is the extension I'm missing. I don't think you should be missing this. I'm not sure when I deleted mine, but it's okay. Okay, this is just to fix my personal issue. All right, Command B to rebuild. Let's see. Okay, looks like I'm good to go. So I'm going to run the app again. This is our launch screen, if you remember. I mean our splash screen. Okay, so let's test screen 5. Awesome, it launches. Great. Okay. So now this is working. It's time to design the app. All right, so I'm going to design this. Let me make this bigger. I'm going to design this. All right, so to implement this Giants video player here, all we actually have to do is just to add a view. I'll show you. Just to add a view at the top here. And but first let's give this a background color. Let's see. Okay, so just a view. So click the plus button and then search UI view. This is the view, this one, a regular view. Drag it to the top here. Great. And position it. Okay. All right, so this is set. Yeah, so simple, right? And then next we're going to add this play web video button. And to do that, we click the plus button and then search button. Right here, drag it here. I'm gonna call this play web video. This is going to trigger the video to be played here from a link. Okay, so let's customize this button. Let's make the text black, text bold, on the font, Click the T, bold, then increase the font size as well. Awesome. Okay, now let's change the background color of the button. Background, let's do blue for this one. And then let's make the corners rounded. Corner radius 4. Okay, we're good to go. So next we will add 4 other buttons below, and then we would add a switch. But first, let's add the buttons. Four buttons. So we click plus button, bring it here. Another one. Another one. And another one. Okay, just gonna position them. Okay. All right, so let me make them sizable. Come on. Okay, so now I'm gonna give them names. The first one is text, uploading text. Second one, uploading number. Third one, uploading, I think, objects. Yeah, uploading object. And then the last one, uploading arrays, which is a list. All right, so let's give these buttons a form. Background color. Well, let me change the text color first. Text color, black. 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 And I'm gonna make them bold. Okay, one more, bold. Okay, so next for the buttons, I'm going to change their background color and then add a radius to them. Background changing is at the bottom. Background. Okay, so lastly, let's change the radius of the buttons to 4. Radius 4, enter. 4, enter, 4, enter, 4, enter. And by any chance, if you're not seeing these options for radius, border width, and border color, that's because you didn't add an extension we added to the utils folder. Earlier in this course, we had added an extension for making these changes. For that, we added an extension that built upon the attributes we have on this pane. So that's how we have these special options. So now let's add the next widget, which is a switch. Upload. So we're going to add a switch. This is a switch. We're going to add it. You know what a switch is? We use it to turn things on and off. I'm going to resize it a little bit. I don't think I can. Okay, can I? Okay, I'm just going to move it to the right. All right, so now we have the switch. Next, we're going to add our 2 image views and 2 buttons. All right. Okay, so image view. So we type UI image. That's our image view. We'll resize it. Come on. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing again. Still resizing. Okay, while this is wasting my time, I'm going to restart Xcode real quick. It's always the fastest way to fix this. Quit. Then I'll launch it again. Seed. All right, while that is loading, remember that this is going to be an image view that loads image from the phone's assets folder, and then this is going to, and then when we click this button, it's going to upload that image to the cloud, and then this button gets that image from the cloud and displays it on here, right? Right, so now let's add the button that would download and upload these images. So button. Move this up. And one more button. Okay, and this will be upload. This will be download. And we're going to customize the look of the button. Want to make the text black. increase the font size, bold. And then text black. Okay. Background blue, background blue, and then corner radius 4, corner radius 4. Okay. Looks like we have everything set. So real quick, let's run the app and test and see how it looks. Waiting for it. Okay. Yeah, that's looking good. I think we need to make these buttons a little bigger, and then change the background color of our display up here. Okay, so let's do that. Increasing font size. Okay. Make this one a little bigger too. And then this one, change the background color to something darker. Something gray. All right, looks much better. Okay, image view, we need to give it the background as well. Background color. Okay, just gonna increase the size a little bit. Awesome. Okay. All right, so everything looks set. Now it's time to write the logic of everything. The logic that is going to make this video play, upload our text, and numbers and objects and arrays if this switch is on. Otherwise, if it's off, we download it from the net. Then these are going to display the image and download them from the net as well. All right, so next we are going to, we have designed the app. Next we're going to import the Firebase modules. And to do this, let's click on the link. Nope, not this one, module. Let's copy this and then go to our view controller 5, then import that, paste it, Firebase and Firebase database. Let's get rid of these comments. Then next we're going to add some extensions. These extensions are designed to work with Firebase to make them much easier to use. So the first thing we're going to do is copy the import statement for the extension. Command C, and then click on the extensions file under the utils folder. Scroll all the way up and paste it in there, Firebase database. Then copy the rest of the code, which are the extensions we're going to need. I'll explain them in a little bit. Command C. Then we'll paste them at the bottom. Command V. Okay. All right. So let me explain what these are. Okay. So the first extension is a data snapshot extension. When we query Firebase to give us something like an object or a string, it returns it as a data snapshot. And that data snapshot is kind of raw. It gives you a very raw kind of data. So this extension turns that raw data into something much more familiar, like an object, an array that you're used to. So that's what this one does to object. Um, um, and then this one here to JSON, you already know what JSON is. This is essential when we will be trying to preview the object we just downloaded from the cloud, just to make sure it's correct. That's what we're going to be. That's when we are going to be using this to JSON extension. But for now, this is the main one. Okay, to array and to object. I will explain this um, in a little bit. So let's go back to the docs. We've imported the extensions. Now it's time to actually use them. So before we dive into using them, we need to connect all these widgets we just designed. Storyboard 5. We need to connect every widget and button here. So to do that, let's open up the assistant. Okay, and then let's start from connecting this play video button. So if you remember, buttons go at the bottom. Hold the control key, drag it into it. Okay, let's call this play web video button. Clicked. Press enter. The action is added. Then let's add our switch button. Let's add it under. This is gonna be interesting. Watch. So we add the switch. It's an event of type value change. We call it switch. The first S should be lowercase. Switch mode changed. Okay, and then press enter. This is in. Now we should also add this switch as an outlet, because we are going to need that to check the value of the switch. So drag the same switch at the top of above view did load, and then call it maybe web. I'll just call it switch. Just call it switch. Enter. Oops, I had added something else. I'm gonna right click. I added some quotation marks. So to rename a variable, to do that, you right click, click refactor, rename. And then just rename it. So in this case, I'm gonna remove this quotes and then press enter. And now it's renamed. Okay, I think I have to rename this yet again. Refactor rename. So I'm going to call this web mode switch. Web mode switch, yeah. Okay, awesome. It didn't let me to use the word switch as a variable name because switch is a case statement, so that would cause confusion. All right, so now this is done we've imported this as an outlet and as an action. This will be used to know the mode, while this one over here will be used to know will be used to perform actions when the switch is clicked. All right, so next let's drag in our buttons. So Ctrl drag, upload text clicked. Or let's call it text button clicked. Text button clicked. Okay, and then num button clicked. Lowercase n, num button clicked. Connect. Then object button clicked. And lastly, arrays button clicked. Okay, and that is done. Now we need to also connect these two image views. And yes, we are going to drag this image view above view did load because it's an outlet. We're not going to be clicking it. It's just going to be there as a reference to make changes to it. All right, so we're going to call this upload image view. Upload image view. And then we would call this download image view. Download image view. Okay, and then the buttons for triggering these upload and downloads. This would be upload button clicked, and then download button clicked. Okay, now one last thing is our video player up here, which is a blank view. Let's call this let's see, let me make sure I call it the same thing we're gonna need. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're going to call it my blank surface view. All right, so let's drag it in here. It's a view. Let's call it my blank surface view. It's okay if you name it something else. This is just what I choose to name it. My blank surface view, because we're going to be playing videos on this surface. That's for this view up here. Okay, and then we're adding this as an outlet. Connect. All right, so now we've connected our video player, which is a view for now, our button to play the video, our text, number, object, arrays, switch, image views, and 2 buttons for uploading and downloading. All right, so next thing is to now make these buttons do stuff. All right, so we have the text button, and we want to upload images to the cloud, to Firebase, when this button is clicked. So let's start from that. All right, so the first thing we want to do is upload text. Let's find our upload text button. That should be the first one here, right here. Text button clicked. Okay. Before we implement the code for the switch, let's just do a basic text upload to Firebase. Okay. Let me make sure our Google service is installed. Okay, it is. Okay, just making sure. All right. So to upload stuff to Firebase, we're going to first of all initialize a reference to our Firebase cloud. Once we have that reference initialized, we then use the reference to navigate to where we want to store. Navigate ref to path. We navigate to the path where we want to store the data. Then once we are in that path, we simply call ref.set value. And then in this parenthesis, we put in the value of the object we want to store. So the first thing, like I said, is grab a reference to our Firebase database, then navigate to the path we want to store the data, and then set the value there. When we are getting, let's say, this same value, the text, when we're retrieving it from the cloud, we pretty much go through the same thing. We grab the reference to our database, navigate to the path where we want to get that data from, and then read the data. So let's do that. So here is a snippet to upload text to Firebase. Let me copy this. Paste it here. Let me make this bigger. All right, so this is us grabbing the reference to the database. Let reference database reference, that's the type. Database.database.reference, that's the reference to our database, the one we created. Home. Expand this, click on real-time database. So that's the reference to this database. I'm sure you're wondering, how does it know which one? How does it know where our database is if we didn't enter any URL or something? It knows it by accessing that information from the Google service.json file. Okay. So to grab a reference, we say database reference equal to database.reference. Then to put something in our database, which is here. Oh, by the way, this is the root node of our database. So to put something there, we just say reference.child. In this case, we want to save our manager name. Imagine the restaurant app we had created. We want to save our manager name and save it to the cloud. So in the node for manager name, we are actually creating this right now because it already does not exist. So by specifying a child of this, you are also indirectly creating this node and then setting a value onto it as Steve. All right. So ref.child manager name .set value. So we're going to run this app now, and you're going to see this happen. Okay. So right now we are on uploading text. Okay. So let's run it and test. Run. Okay, I'm going to open this side by side with my database so that you can see. Okay, so now we have it side by side. Hang on. So I'm going to click upload text, which is this one. And as you can see, this is a live update on our database the moment I click that. So as you can see, it's created a node called manager name. Trying to make this bigger. Okay. It's created a node called manager name and it set the value for Steve on that node. Remember the same thing we did here? So if we wanted to load this information back to the app, let's say we want to access the database and be like, hey, give me the manager name. So how do we do that? It's actually simple. All we have to do is the same process, except that this time around we say observe single value event. Let me copy this code so it can be bigger. Okay, so I'm going to comment this out for now. So this is the code to retrieve that value. All right, so like I said, again, you grab the database reference and then you say ref.child. Here we had said set value. Here to get the value, we say observe single event. This means we want to just listen once for the event because this database is designed to keep listening. So, but here we just want a one-time query. So we say observe single value event and then the rest of the code. And then in this block here, that is where we receive the value when it's available, because this is an internet call. It can't happen immediately. It has to take some time, and that time happens in this callback. Okay, so so once the value is available, it becomes available through these snapshots here, this snapshot object. Remember when I told you about the snapshot and extensions? Then using the snapshots, we declare a variable string and then say snapshot dot to object. Okay, let me show you this live. So we're trying to get a manager name. All right, so we say var. Remember, this is inside a callback function for when the value is available. So the manager name, which is expected to be Steve. So var gotten name, this is of type string, equal to snapshots. This is the snapshot of our data from the cloud. Say snapshots dot to object. Then we pass in the type of object we are expecting back. In this case, we're expecting back an object of type string. So all we have to do is say string dot self. That's it. So this basically tells Swift that we are trying to cast from a string object. It's really that simple. So this is done, and then now we have our manager name allocated into this object here, and then we say so here let's test it out. Toast, and then we toast our gotten name. By the way, quick reference. This to object is the extension, is from the extension we had added, if you remember. To object, see that? It makes things simpler for us by decoding the raw data gotten from Firebase. All right. Where is our file? Control 5. Okay. So there is a little warning here saying we should use self. This is because we are currently in a Xcode is telling me to use self here before I can use this toast call. This is because we are currently in a callback enclosure. A callback enclosure, even though it's in this class, it's actually running as a variable elsewhere. So whenever we are in a callback function like this, and we want to make calls to a function that is in our class, in this case our view controller class, it's always recommended to use self, because otherwise you might have errors. Anyways, oh, by the way, self means I'm referencing to the object, the parent objects, which in this case is view controller 5. All right. So let's run the app and test and see if we can get this manager name from the cloud. We are getting it by saying reference.child manager name dot get value. In this case, we are saying observe single value events, and then the value comes in form of a snapshot, which we will toast here the value gotten. So let's run and test. Okay, let's see. So now the code should run when I click the text button, and then it won't make any update here because it's a read value. Remember when I had the upload? So let's test it. You see, manager name Steve. So everything was successful. The text did, the query did go through, and it came back with the manager name, which is Steve. So now this is done. Let's go ahead and perform the same test for numbers. Let's try getting numbers. Okay. All right. So for numbers, I have the snippets here as well. Get number. Let's do the upload number to database. It's the same concept, except that the value here is going to be a number instead of a text. So remember here we had put value for manager name as Steve. So this time around the value for this case chips price, all this is inherited from the food order app. Chips price will be set to $2 in this case just an integer 2. It's really simple. Get reference to database, then say ref, in this case ref, that's what we call the variable, dot child. That puts us in a node. So when I call that code, it's going to create a chips price node in this branch, and then set the value to 2. That's what it's going to do. So it's just like a tree, an endless nest of tree. So now I've implemented this code into the numbers button. So when we run it, it should upload this value to the database. So let's run. Okay. So the moment I click number, it should update. So keep your eyes focused here. You should see the update. Let me make this a little bigger. Okay. So you see that chips price 2. So it was successful. was successful. Now let me make changes to this chips price so that you can see. I'm going to change the chips price to a whopping $33. All right, run. Let's test it again. Now pay attention here the moment I click this button. You see the chips price updates to $33. Now this can happen like atomically. That means multiple users can update this value without this value crashing. That's the beauty of Firebase database, because it's live and it's fast. Okay, so the next thing is objects. Okay, so let's upload an object. To do that, we would use the snippet for objects. Okay, so I'm going to scroll all the way down and paste this one in because it's kind of big. So I'm going to paste the whole function in this case. Upload object to Firebase. Okay. All right, I'm going to close this storyboard. Okay, what errors do we have here? Okay, so I need to make some updates to our extensions. I think I had done a giant command Z somewhere that got rid of some stuff. Let's see. I do have to dictionary. Let's see. Where is our view controller? Let me do a command B because I know I do have. Okay, that, oh, oh, the spelling is different. Okay, extensions to dictionary. Okay, so I have the misspelling. All right. Okay, so it's just the misspelling. All right, so to dictionary. Okay. So you probably might have this misspelling on your side as well, so just change it. It's one N, not a double N. Okay, so to upload an object to Firebase, it goes through the same process. The same process, which is grab an instance to the database, navigate to the node where you want to store this value at. In this case, we're going to store it at orders/Mary. In this case, under orders, we want to store it in a Mary node, and then the value for that Mary would be our order. So this is all inheriting from the food order app we had did, because I want to show you how this whole thing can be stored on the web as well. So we have a food order object, and then we have the reference to our database. In the previous phase, we had stored this with TinyDB. Now we are storing it in the cloud. So to do that, we just say reference.child we pass in the folder, which is orders, and then under orders, we want to store it under the person's name called Mary. And there we set the value as the food order. And quick note, remember that whatever you store on the cloud or even on TinyDB has to conform to Codable. So make it a habit to always include this in any class you design yourself. Then we say set value. Now, one thing to note here is that we can't directly just put the order object here. We always have to, it's going to cause an error. We always have to say dot to dictionary. Okay? You have to convert it to a dictionary before Firebase would accept it. All right. So with this done, the object will go to the cloud. So let's test it out. I'm going to comment this out and I'll explain it in a second. Oops, wrong. Okay, so I'm going to run the app and then let's see. Again, it's one line of code, ref.child.setValue. Run, and this, I still need to call this function. So I'm going to call this function upload object to Firebase in our upload object to Firebase button. Okay, so upload object to Firebase. So now let's run the app. Okay. All right, so when I click this button, you should see the Mary object pop up here. Watch. You see that orders? Then under orders, we have Mary. Then under Mary, we should have the food order we just placed in. So that's the food order. That's her name. That's the order ID. That's the total cost. That's the same price dictionary we had. So basically it's the same food order object, but with custom information from Mary. So with that done, let's go over how to get a callback when this upload is successful. So under the upload object to Firebase, I had commented out a code, a giant block of code here. This is the same code except that this one has a callback so that you know when this upload is successful. This is just one line of code. You never actually know if this succeeds or if it fails. But this one has a callback function. It has a callback function which tells you whether or not it succeeds. And that happens here. So this is the same line of code, and then this one is the same line of code expanded with a callback function. And then this is where we check if there is no error, toast the upload was successful. If there is an error, toast the upload was not successful. So let's test this out and then move forward. So let's run the app. Okay, screen 5, object. You see, text upload was successful. All right, so that's looking good. So the next thing we're going to dive into is saving lists, in this case arrays. All right, so let's find our arrays block. So arrays button clicked. So again, it's the same concept, the same protocol, the same thing. And if we want to, we're going to call this, let's see. Let's call this branch maybe branch, restaurant branch, branch locations, or branch zip codes. Yeah, let's say branch zip codes. Branch zip codes. Yes, branch zip codes. And then we're going to pass in a list. So the first thing we're going to put in this list would be the first zip code, maybe 11042, comma 33494, comma 55679. Okay, so 3 zip codes for the 3 different branches of our world-class restaurant. So it's the same concept, ref.child branch zip codes.set value, and you pass in the details. So let's run this app and see. This is happening under the arrays button clicked. I'm gonna minimize this. Oh, by the way, to delete a node in Firebase, just click the X button. Okay, so let's test out the arrays. So once I click this, you should see a new node under zip codes. See that branch zip codes? Now let's check and see the list under it. You see, index 1, this one, index 2, 33494, index 3, 55679. And of course, if we want to retrieve this, all we have to do is, let's find the get list from Firebase. To retrieve this value, it's the same process again, except there is one little difference. Let me show you. Again, get the reference to the database, ref.child, in this case, branch zip codes. I'm going to copy this and paste here. Branch zip codes, okay. Then say observe single value events of value snapshot. The value is going to be in this snapshot. So this is us getting the value. The major difference for this one, so var zip codes, and this is of type string array equal to snapshots dots. Remember here we had done to object. When it's a list, we don't do to object. When it's a list, we say to array. Okay, and then we can now deal with our array however we want. Okay, to fix this error, just get rid of this. Let's infer the type by itself. All right, so when it's a list, we don't say to array, we don't say to object, rather we say to array. And again, array and lists are pretty much the same thing. So if I say array, I mean list. If I say list, I still mean array, vice versa. So let's toast the results. We say self.toast zip code object gotten. Then we print it. In this case, we say zip codes dot description. Calling dot description on a list object simply means we want to get a text representation of that list. So let's run this code and see. So when I click this button, it should it should query the database and get this list for us and display it here. So let's check that out. You see that zip code object button, and this is our list. The same list we have stored here in the same order. So that's working fine. So the next thing we're going to do before we wrap up saving text, saving numbers, saving objects, and retrieving them is to make the code look neat by using this switch button. Okay, but before we use this switch button, I want us to empty let us empty these functions we just created. That is the button clicks. Let us empty the code in the enclosure of these buttons. It's okay, I'll show you why. So for the arrays button clicks, let's delete the code inside. Objects button click, delete. Numbers button click, delete. And then text button click, delete. Okay, awesome. So let's create a variable, a Boolean variable at the top here. Let's call it var upload var is upload mode. Or let's say in upload mode. Var in upload mode. And this is of type bool, and let's not define the value yet by putting an exclamation mark. Rather, in the viewDidLoad function, we would say in upload mode equal to, remember our switch, we say web mode switch dot is on. So this is a Boolean value that is getting returned. So if it's in upload mode, that means if our switch is on, that means we're in upload mode. Whether to upload to cloud. Okay, so if our switch is on, again, this is our switch. Where is our storyboard? This is our switch here. This one, that's our switch. So if it's on, we're in upload mode. If it's off, we're downloading from the cloud. So so whenever the switch changes, where is our switch? So under this switch mode, we're going to say if web mode switch dot is on, if it's on, we set our Boolean for in upload mode to true. In upload mode is equal to true. Else in upload mode equal to false. Okay, so web mode switch if it's on, in upload mode true, otherwise in upload mode false. So now we're going to use this variable to make these buttons dynamic. Okay, and to do that, now we're going to say for the text button clicked, we're going to say if in upload mode else. By the way, you should already know this by now, but this is the same as if in upload mode is equal to true. It's the same as not having that boolean check. This is also the same for most languages. So now we have this. Let's go ahead and paste the same code in all the other blocks. So if in upload mode is equal to true, do something, otherwise do something. So let's paste this in every other button. In this case, paste it in the numbers button clicked, in the objects button clicked, in the arrays button clicked. Okay. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our snippets. Then let's copy all the functions here. Let's copy all of them. So I'm going to click raw, Command A, Command C, and come back to Xcode, scroll all the way to the bottom. Before the last parenthesis, paste it in there. So this gives us access to the upload text to Firebase, upload number to Firebase, upload object to Firebase. Since invalid declaration, oh, we already had this. I'm gonna get rid of this. Upload object to Firebase. And in the upload object to Firebase, I am going to, let's get rid of this customer name. I'm going to, remember we had a double call to the same thing. One had a callback, one didn't. So I'm going to comment out the first one, which is the one that did not have a callback. Okay. All right, so everything looks good. All right, so now we have a upload text, object, arrays, and numbers to Firebase, and download texts, numbers, objects, and arrays from Firebase. We now have the functions. So what we're going to do now is for the text button, we're going to say if in upload mode, upload text to Firebase, else get text from Firebase. For the numbers button clicked, if in upload mode, upload number to Firebase, else download, no, get number from Firebase. For objects, upload object to Firebase, gets number from Firebase. For arrays button clicked, upload array, upload list to Firebase, and gets list from Firebase. Okay, so we have all this done. I like me my semicolons. Okay, so we have all this done. Now it's time to test it out. So let's run the app again. Now the switch should be working because we've implemented the code for the switch. So let's run the app again. Okay, so the switch is on, so that means we are uploading to Firebase. So I'm going to test this out with, first of all, let me clear the database. Yes, delete. Okay, so I'm going to, the switch is on, I'm going to upload objects to Firebase. You see that? Test upload successful. Mary is now on there. Our food order is there. Great. Now our chefs can handle that. So now this is there. I'm going to turn this off. That means we're now in download mode. And then click this button again and it should download this Mary's food order. So let's try that out. Okay, we have a crash. What went wrong? Let's see. Okay, I think we need to check out Mary's food order. Upload objects. Okay, so I have the wrong function call. This should be upload object to Firebase. Yeah, I have the wrong function call. Upload object to Firebase. All right, now let me also make sure I don't have the same mistake somewhere else. So text, get text, upload text, number, upload number, get number, object, upload object, get object. So this should be again get object, not upload again. This should be get objects. Yeah. And then arrays, upload lists, get lists. Okay. All looking good. All right, so let's run the app again. So this is on. We're uploading to Firebase. Upload successful. I'm gonna turn this off, which should trigger a download. So I'm gonna click this. Awesome. So as you can see, our object got downloaded. The same thing we have here. Mary's objects. See that? So it's really the same thing. So that's looking good. Object download is working. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna test this out for the other buttons and then move on real quick. So let's turn this on and upload. So upload text. That worked. Let's download text. Download text. Looking good, Steve. Let's upload number. Chips price. Let's upload a list. So this list we uploaded here is 1, 2, and DD. I put DD in the code just to show you that Swift can be dynamic with lists, and that you can also upload dynamic contents to Firebase. Let me show you. Put lists. Put list. See, I put 1, 2, and a string. So these are an integer, and a string. So I put this here to show you that you can actually mix things up as long as they are primitive types. So I'm going to run this again. And then I'm going to click upload arrays. You're going to see this update. You see that? The 4 was added. So, and then when I turn this off, I have uploaded text, numbers, object, and arrays. When I turn this off, that means we're now downloading. Test, download text. Worked, Steve. Number. It worked too. Then next, object. It worked. Downloaded Mary's object. Arrays. 1, 2, DD4. See? And all this is coming from the cloud. So that's working. That's good. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to upload an image and then download an image. Okay? All right, so we've typed text, saved it, and retrieved it. So to To load the image after we download it, we're going to need this Nuke library. So let's download that real quick and then move forward. It's gonna be very fast. So open up this Nuke link. So Nuke is an image loading library. In programming, a lot of times you deal with images a lot, and those images sometimes they can be very large. Sometimes they may need decoding, resizing, rotating, or even making some parts blurred. So a library like Nuke on GitHub helps with that. It saves you from the work of doing all this yourself. So in this case, we're going to be using Nuke to load the images we uploaded to Firebase using the link we retrieved from them. So to install Nuke, scroll down to the installation instruction at the bottom of the page. Click that. And then Nuke recommends using Swift Package Manager. So we just copy this link here. Don't copy the comma. Do not copy the comma. And then we go back to our Xcode project. We're not going to use pod. We're going to click File, Swift Packages, Add Package Dependency, select Seed, click Next, and then paste the URL in here, and then click Next again, and Next. Okay, click Finish. So now we have Nuke imported. All right, to prove that, if you look here below under package dependency, you would see Nuke. All right, now Nuke is installed. Let's focus back on our path. So let's upload an image to Firebase. That's the next thing we have to do. And remember, on Firebase, the uploading is done on a different module, which is the storage module. So let's click that, storage. Remember, we had made the rules public, which is good for now. So under the files folder, once we upload an image, it's going to show up here. I'm going to minimize this and open up Xcode. Let's go back to our view controller 5. Where is our upload button? Okay, so upload image button. All right. So now on the docs, we have a snippet for this. Where is it? Okay, this one, upload an asset image to Google. So there is a function called upload images, which uses Firebase. So let's copy everything on this page, everything in the snippet, of course, including this variable at the top. Let's copy that, and let's come back to our project, and then paste this at the bottom of the page, before the last parenthesis. Okay, before the last parenthesis, paste. Okay, so now this is the function that let me make this bigger, not too big. So this is the function that uploads images to Firebase. Firebase file storage works in a very similar way to Firebase database. The major difference for uploading images is that we initialize the reference in a slightly different way. We say storage reference, and then when we grab the reference, in this case we are dealing with folder paths. It's not really like a node in the database. This one is like a slash in the folder, kind of like this example here, images slash rivers.jpg. So, and then when we're ready to upload, we simply say fireref in this case dot put data. Over there we had said set value for the database for storing text and objects. We had said where is it? We had said set value for uploading files. We say put data, and then we pass in the data that we want to store. In this case, it could be data from a UI image view. I mean a UI image like this PNG data. So we pass that in, and then we pass the metadata in as nil, and then once the file, and then it brings us into this enclosure whereby we can now grab the download URL for when the download is complete. So that means when we say put data, it's a one line of code, but it has this extra enclosure that gives us feedback on the download, which includes the download URL once the download is ready. So I turned all this into one simple line of code called upload image, whereby we pass in the image data, in this case UI image. We pass in the folder where we want to store it. We pass in the image we pass in the image name, in this case something like car.png, and then we simply open up a bracket that gives us access to the image URL once it's downloaded. Okay, and this up here works in connection to this here. It's simply a callback that works with this function, so you don't need to make changes to this, just ignore it. This is a callback. This is a function as a variable in Swift, and this one carries a parameter of a URL because we're going to be using this when we call this function. Okay, so let's try this out. Okay, we have our Firebase. We have our Firebase imported, so let's use this. So let's go over to our upload button. So let's find its upload button clicked. So we say upload image. This time around we are calling that function upload image right here. The first thing we wanna pass in is the UI image. In this case, let's declare a variable for UI image, var let's say assets, let's say image, no, let's say car image. Okay, and then this is of type UI image, and then equal to, remember when we created the app for cars, this app, I think it was this one. Remember this, and I showed you how to load images, and I showed you that one of them was by using image literals. So where is our function? So variable, we're creating a variable for our image that we want to upload. In this case, I'm going to say image, press enter on image literal, and then I'll double click this and I'll select maybe this one. Okay, so now we have a reference to an image on our assets. I'm going to press the first parameter, which is image data, and I'm going to pass in car image in there. The second one is folder. I want this to be stored in cars/favorites. Okay, and this is going to be a folder on the cloud, on on Firebase here. You're gonna see it soon here. And then image name, I want this to be car. No, let me call this let me call this fav car dot png. And yes, you need the extension part. Then the last part is our callback bracket. So all you have to do is click it and press enter. So it's it generates this. Oh, this should be in quotes. So it generates this this function for you. So all you have to do is press here and name it something you want. In this case, the URL, I want to give it the custom name of URL, and then the code, because this, when the image is uploaded, it's going to call this callback function, and then your URL for the uploaded image is going to arrive from here. That's why I created this function we have put here. And that callback function, in case you're wondering, is this. So when the image is uploaded, the URL for it is going to come from here, and then all we have to do is now use that URL image to do whatever we want. So this is the function to upload our image. Okay, so let's test this out. And this is in our upload button clicked, which is this button here. And I think I need to put a car on this. Yeah, let me put a car on this. Let's do that real quick. Let's see, 5 was a black car. Image without its background. Oops. Yeah, it's background. Black car. Yeah. Okay. So on image, click select the black car. All right. Then let's go back. Okay, so now once we run the app and click upload image, this should upload to the cloud. So let's run the app and test. Let me minimize this. Okay, so this is the button I'm going to click. This button would upload this image to the cloud. So I'm clicking upload. I think it should be done by now, so I'm gonna refresh this page. The file section of Firebase is not live. Like it's not always updating itself when you upload something, so you have to refresh the page if you want to see it. I'm gonna press refresh, and then you can now see the new file will uploaded. You can see the cars folder. Click that. We have the favorites folder, just like in our code we had the car/favorites. Click the favorites and you see our favorite card.png. Remember, we named the file favorite card.png, which would hold the data for the image file, which is this car. So I'm gonna click this. I'm gonna click the car, and this is the file. I'm gonna click it. It's gonna download it. So this is the file downloaded. I'm going to open it up. You see, this is our car. So the app successfully uploaded this image to Firebase. I'm gonna go back to the root folder. Minimize this. So now this is working good. The next thing we're going to do is make this app show the image when we click the download button. We're going to download it and show it here. Okay. So to do that, we need a reference, a solid reference to this URL. We need to save it somewhere. So we're going to create a variable at the top here, and let's call it var image. Let's call it uploaded image URL, and this is of type URL. And then we're gonna put an exclamation mark because we don't want to initialize it yet. Rather, we want to initialize it after we have we've uploaded the image to the cloud. So here is where we load something inside. We're gonna say uploaded image uploaded. Where's our variable? Uploaded image URL right here. Then we're gonna say equal to URL. Equal to URL. The reason we are doing this is because we want to hold the reference so that we can use this same URL somewhere else. And it wants our next. Oh, we need the self. This is because again we are inside an enclosure here, and we're inside a callback function, so we need a self to reference the properties of this view controller. So self dot plug in my computer. So self dot uploaded URL was going to hold this reference to our URL for future use, and this future use would be in the download button clicked. So remember that I told you that we're going to be loading this image back here when the download button is clicked, and we're going to be doing that using the Nuke library. Remember that? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import Nuke. Imports. Oops. Imports Nuke. Then I'm going to scroll to the bottom, back where we were, and the download button clicked, and then I will use Nuke to load the image. It's as simple as saying Nuke dot load image, and then with URL into, that's the one we want. Okay, so nuke.load image with the URL, as you might have guessed, is this one, uploaded image URL, uploaded image URL, and the image we want to load it into is download image download image view. Remember this image view, which is this one right here, this one. Let me show you just to prove to you that that's the reference. You click on connections inspector, and you're going to see download image URL, download image view. That's the one we want. So I'm going to pass in download image view. So once the download button is clicked, Nuke is going to load the new image. It's going to load the downloaded image from the cloud, in this case from database, from Firebase database into this image view. So let's run the app and test. By the way, keep in mind that this app, this code currently is very, it doesn't think of all the possible worst case scenarios. Like, what if this download URL is still null? We're just trying to, I'm just trying to show you how to do this. That's why I don't have all these other checks, like what if the download URL is null? What if this is null? For now, we're just trying to get just to show you that it's working. So that means we have to upload the image first before we download the image. All right, so let's test that out. Let's see. Okay, so upload button. Let's go to our Firebase. I'm gonna delete this. Delete, yes. Okay, so I'm going to do an upload. This should be done by now, so I'm going to refresh this page. Okay, now we have the cars, favorites, and the favorite card of PNG is there. Now I'm going to do a download. Let's see how that works. This is going to download this image. Okay, you see that the image was downloaded successfully and loaded onto this image view. By the way, congratulations on this new milestone. It's a very impressive feat. So now we have the download image working using the URL. The next and last thing we are going to do for this chapter is video streaming from a link. So remember we had our video view up here. So we're going to play a video from the web on that video view. To do that, we have a snippet here. I'll make this big. So let's copy this. It's a function. Let's copy this. And let's go back to the bottom of our page on our view controller. Before the last parenthesis, let's paste that in there. So this is a play video function. I think we need to import AV player. And then import AV kits, imports AV found. Okay, let's see if our error is gone. Awesome, our error is gone. So we just needed to import AV kit as well. All right. So with that done, so this is the function that plays a video on top of our blank surface view. Remember we had this surface view here, which is a regular UI view. This, which is of type UI view, remember? So this is where we're going to be placing our video player. And in this case, our video player is a kind of customized view controller that comes packaged with Xcode. Packaged with iOS. So the first thing we do is we initialize our player. And we initialize it with a video URL, in this case this one. Okay, let me show you the same URL playing online. I'm gonna copy this link just to demonstrate. I'm going to paste this in my web browser. So this is the link playing in my web browser. I'm going to go back now to Xcode. So we initialize our AV player with this link. Then the next thing we'll do is we'll initialize our AV player view controller. This is a view controller, kind of like the one you see every now and then on iPhones. That's actually plays the video. This is the video box basically. And then on here we now allocate that video box on top of our view. Remember the UI view we had added from the view controller. This is where we place this UI view controller on top of that view. Okay, then once this is done, the video player is ready, and then if we click it, it plays the video. So let's test that out. Let's just call this function play video on top of video player. Let's copy this and call it from our play video button. So this, remember, is our play video button. Let's find that and play the video on top of it. So that button should be all the way at the top. So I'm gonna paste it in here, play video on video player, and then let's run the app. Okay, I'm gonna click the app. I'm gonna make this full screen. Play video. See the video player loads. Then once I click play, which is the button at the center, the video plays. So right now the video is playing. You see that? And then I can make it full screen. I can rotate the phone. See that? Play. See that? And then I can close this out. So that's how to play a video from any web link, especially links that are HTTPS encoded. That means on iPhone doesn't like web links that do not have the extra S in their HTTP address. Remember the video, where is it? Nope, let me copy the link again. So remember this link, this video link, it starts with an HTTPS. iOS does not like videos that don't have the extra S. It requires an extra layer of authentication before iPhone will play that video. So make sure that whatever link you are trying to play has the extra HTTPS protection. So with that said, the video is working. We played the video. We tested uploading text, downloading text, uploading numbers, downloading numbers, uploading objects, aka classes, in initialize classes. We tested uploading arrays and lists. We uploaded images and we downloaded images. Forgot to. Okay, so we uploaded images and we downloaded images. Now we've gone through this. We've gone through this beautiful app. Oh, and by the way, we also dealt with switches. How to use switches. For switches, we need to declare a an outlet and an action. We went through all this. So this already gives you a very good idea of, I'm sure, a cool app you can create with it. But also in the world of apps, there is video conferencing, video calls, VoIP calls, voice calls. There is all these things, and I want to show you the best way to implement it. We're not going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to show you a library kind of that you can use to bring this to life easily. And one of those libraries is called Agora. Okay. Agora is an external library that you can import, just like we did the GitHub project. They have their own free tier, and then you can use it to do video calls. You don't have to reinvent the wheels. Basically, it's possible to reinvent the wheels, but as a beginner, you don't have to. It's better to use these services. You can use Agora for video calling. They have SDKs. SDKs means software development kits. They have SDKs for video calling, voice calling, interactive live streaming, real-time messaging, recording, other cool stuff, interactive whiteboards. They have all these things, but I think their most popular offering is the video calling and voice calling, as well as their messaging. Now, Agora is not the only player in the game. There is also Cinch. Cinch does something similar, but is much more tailored towards native calling, like video calling, voice calling, data calling, number masking, SMS verification, voice verification, all this stuff. Even things like uh, SMS, custom SMS if you want to do that. So that's what Cinch is all about. They're much more tailored towards the raw um, things that you are used to on a phone. So with that said, I recommend these libraries if you have ideas that bring you under that playing field. They would help you bring your app to market faster. And with that said, today we've covered creating an app that stores and retrieves images from the cloud. Um, we've uploaded images to the cloud, we've downloaded images to the cloud, we've played a web video. And remember, web videos have to start with HTTPS, not HTTP. Otherwise, you're going to have to approve it in a very complex way in Xcode. Um, and with that said, I'll catch you in the next one. And remember to do your homework, which is to keep learning Swift on Code Academy. All right, and I'll catch you in the next one.